So these ADUs and being able to build these smaller units help out seniors who want to still live in the community that they raise their kids in and their doctors are at, right? And they need somewhere to live. Young professionals moving in the area that maybe they don't want to live, in an apartment or they can't find one. Um, and then also it provides for that single family homeowner cash flow.
Yeah. All right, welcome everybody back to Ladders and Leverage, where we break down the real strategies for building wealth through real estate and business and mindset and all the things that go along with it. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest questions that Marissa and I get more than anything else. What's better, buying a single family rental or investing into a duplex, triplex, or some sort of multifamily? So we're not just talking theory. We're going to show you exactly how we've helped one of our friends, good friends of ours.
Mm-hmm. Investor, client, friend.
Everything.
Yep.
Party buddy, you name it. Sell his single family home, and he 1031 exchange into a duplex. And then he added an ADU, which is about to come online. It is such a cool property. I wish we would have bought it. No, I don't. I'm stoked to see him win. And it's turning into this great cash flowing triplex. And we're going to walk you through the numbers, the strategy, and the real math behind why multifamily wins. And I've got the best in the business right here to talk about it. And she's got her hair all looking good. It's all over the place. I love it. So if you're watching this,
my crazy hair,
send her a note that you love her hair. And we're going to walk you through. So I'm going to walk you through this strategy with Marissa. She is a freak in the sheets. And no, not those sheets. Spreadsheets. Right here, Marissa Buss, the CFO of GeoLiv Investment Group. Let's dive in, girl.
Wow, that was quite the intro. Thank you, my love. Holy moly. I was curious how you were going to introduce me, and I wasn't expecting parts of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even have the mug.
I do. I have multiple cups that people have given me. Freak in the sheets.
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets.
Exactly.
That's me.
So,
yes.
I ain't lying, right?
I am a closet Excel spreadsheet nerd.
Yeah.
100%.
You're kind of a nerd.
100%. That's what happens. Smart and beautiful.
Agreed.
All right. So let's break it down.
Yeah.
So yes, I get asked this all the time in residential. People come to me. They say they want to buy a rental property. And really what happened was, and I used to just go out there, find them condos, single family homes, show them exactly how, what return they were going to make, how much rent, all of those things, and do a little spreadsheet for them. Well, let's take it back to 2020. So all these people that I helped buy, mom and pop and buy a rental property, now I'm getting phone calls that their tenants aren't paying. And
Bummer.
It's like some of them, they're like, we know they still can qualify. Yes, they're making less money, but because of the way the laws were during COVID, they didn't have to pay their rent. And a lot of these people qualified. So when you're buying a single family property, right, a residential property, 1 unit, okay, you have to have 6 months reserves, but you can use reserves of like your retirement account. Well, when your tenant's not paying, if you still work at your W-2 job and your reserves were in your 401k, you can't just pull from that. Yes, there's 401ks that you could take like a $50,000 loan or what have you.
Yeah.
But really, these people were not anticipating not having their tenants not pay for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I mean, this is what really happened. So when I started to see this, I was like, wow, this is not good. I mean, you're trying to get ahead for your family and create some passive income. And I mean, there's plenty of people who do own hundreds of single family homes. I don't
Yeah.
quite understand why they want that headache, but they do. So when I saw this is where I started to change what I believed in would be best for people who want to get into rental properties. So I really feel that now when someone comes to me and they say, hey, I want to buy like a little condo and rent it out, I'm like, well, who's going to move into it? Like, are you buying this because your child's going to college and they're going to move into it and have roommates? Okay, fine. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you're just buying it for yourself and, you're going to put it out there on the open market, not really know who your tenants are, besides, doing your standard rental checks, background checks, all of that. So I tell them, just like we did in 2021, when we had to buy a rental property, we could have gone and bought a couple, like $2 million homes here in Thousand Oaks, right? And would have gotten great rent for them. Would have been a very slow growth way to buy.
Slow growth.
But instead, after seeing this during COVID, I was like, I'm not buying one single unit.
Yeah.
Because that one single unit, God forbid, they lose their job. We have another pandemic. Anything happens, they stop paying. I'm paying all of the expenses then for that building, that property. So that's why we went and bought a 7-unit Main Street. So that was the whole reason behind that, was instead of buying, a property in Thousand Oaks, which would be more considered like an A area, we went out and bought in what would have been considered more of like a C location, in Santa Paula. So having those, and the other thing that was interesting when we bought that property, if you remember, the tenant told us that the landlord said all of those tenants paid through COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
And that to me, I was like, wait a second. I have people who are calling me with their rental properties in LA or, here in Thousand Oaks. And, these are like higher income people who stopped paying their rent. And then you've got lower income people who are paying through COVID the whole time. So that was the other thing I was looking at, like, whoa, maybe it's not the best to have the house that, I would potentially live in as a rental property versus having a rental property where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to move into a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, hopefully, with my family if I don't need to. So anyway, so that was what really changed my whole investor guideline, that I now, if someone comes to me and says, hey, I've got a couple $100,000, I really want to buy a rental property, I am trying to turn them as fast as I can from buying one unit to at least a duplex, if I can a triplex, fourplex. If we go past a fourplex, you buy 5 units and up, that's commercial, so it's a little different. Some people though could still do that. So that's where when Dave came and I had sold him that house, and he rented it out, and then his tenants wanted to purchase it, I said, let's not go buy, because he wanted potentially a condo in Mammoth and then a single family property there in Ojai. And I said, I would really rather you buy a multi-unit here locally and then eventually buy, your condo in Mammoth or what have you.
Yeah. No, and when we break down the numbers of if he would have just kept that single family to now owning the duplex turned triplex, and you see what the cash flow and what his net worth is going to be at the end, it's huge. So what are the biggest mistakes people are making when they're thinking about this and then comparing a single family home versus multifamily?
Okay. So one of the benefits of purchasing a multi-unit versus a single family is economies of scale. And what I mean by that is that if you own 4 single family homes, you have 4 gardening bills. You have 4 roofs, okay? If I buy a 4-unit, I'm going to spend substantially less than I would have to spend to buy 4 units, 4 single-family homes, okay? And I'm going to have 1 gardener. I'm going to have 1 roof. Yes, it's going to be maybe bigger, potentially, than the single-family home, but it's not going to be as expensive as 4 single-family home roofs. So that's really what economies of scale is that you're condensing your income producing property and having lower expenses than you would if you had 4 individual properties.
Yeah. And what is that? So leading into that, what does that do with the vacancy risk potential for single family, and then
Well, if you have four properties, you have 4 mortgages. So if you have one property, you have one mortgage. Yes, it may be a little higher, but you at least then, if one person stops paying, you have 3 other units that will then be paying. And most likely that one unit that's not paying at that time is maybe your cash flow. So at least you still are having all of your bills taken care of and not having to reach into your own pocket and take money away from you and your family.
Yep. Yeah. So instead of 100% vacant, now you're only 25.
Yes, which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
So it mitigates your risk is
Mhm.
really what you look at. Like it would be like going in and buying all the same stock in your stock portfolio.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's people who get stock options and they have to, but then once you can, you should always exercise that and then diversify that portfolio. So that's the same thing in real estate, is that by buying multi-units, you're diversifying your risk in your portfolio so that hopefully if anything does happen, you're not caught having to use your own funds that are for your own personal family to support a family who's going to be living in your unit for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, depending on how long your eviction takes.
Yeah. No, that's all that is 100% accurate, and couldn't agree more. So one thing too that I was thinking about is this really does help you build wealth faster, right?
100%. You're going to make higher cash flow faster with a multi-unit than you are with a single family home.
And why
It's
is that?
really hard to cash flow on a single family home unless you, like, say, if you're purchasing right now.
Yeah.
If you're going to go out and buy a single family home, it's going to be around $1 million in this area, right around there. I mean, give or take. Maybe you find something for $800,000. Maybe you find something for 1.2. Okay, your rent is going to be probably anywhere from about $4,500 to maybe $6,500. Okay, so if I go and I buy for 1.2 a 4-unit. Okay, or let's just say in this case, let's talk about fully 1.2 million. Okay. Bought a 2-unit, had two car garages below, right? So you know that you can convert that into an ADU. So you have 2 units. Well, I'm going to rent those units out for, I think he ended up getting $2,800 a unit, right around there. So you have those 2, plus then you add that ADU.
Yeah.
So your 3rd unit. So you got another, so let's just say $2,500, $2,500, $2,500. So you're making $7,500 a month versus, say you were going to make on a 1.2 property out here, you're probably going to be around $6,000 a month if it's nice.
Yeah, this is going to be really nice.
I mean, not really nice, but nice.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be decent. So it's really like, okay, well, right there, you're making an extra $1,500 to $1,000 a month. Right there. Okay. So, and it's going to be the same cost to you, right? You're still paying 1.2 or paying 1.2. So 1.2 for a duplex that you're going to turn into a triplex, but you do, okay, we should walk it back.
Yeah. Let me walk it back.
Okay.
So jumping a little ahead, but you're excited. That's fine. What is the real cash flow on Oakview? This is a single family home.
All right. So Oakview, he was buying this property, or he owned this property.
Okay.
You know, he was aggressive and I appreciate it. He had a 15-year mortgage.
Okay.
So he was collecting $3,500 a month in rent on this property. It was a smaller home in Oakview. So after expenses, he was making anywhere from $100 to $300 a month.
And how fast can that get eaten up?
Well, he had to do a roof. He had to redo landscape. So when it really came down to it, he was negative cash flow. Did the property grow and appreciate in value? 100%. It did from when he purchased it. But on a cash flow level, there really wasn't much cash flow at all.
And so $100 to $300 a month it's not really sustainable.
Well, I mean, it is as long as you have the money in your own pockets to, you know, do any capital improvement projects. I mean, think about like a simple issue. Anything is going to cost you around $1,000 to fix, usually.
Yeah. Water heater is going to be $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, things are expensive these days. So it's like you're making $100 a month or even $300 a month. That's $3,600 in the year. So you get one issue. Oh,
It's
okay,
gone.
great. You made $1,000. That's a lot of work for $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a firefighter. He could just work in overtime.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people, that's the fortunate about that profession. You can do that. Not everybody has that option. So what did the 5-year performa show when you were breaking it down for him?
Okay. So basically, the spreadsheet that I created for him was that the purchase price for the property for the single family home was $650,000. Okay. He had $500,000 in equity because he had paid down his mortgage, like a lot, right? He didn't have a management company. He was managing himself. So that's fine. And he was making $100 a month. So duplex, he bought the duplex I was telling him to buy, 1.150. So 1,150,000.
This is located in a beautiful
Ventura. Walkable to downtown. I mean, right next to Cemetery Park. If people know, it's kind of creepy, but it's a big park.
It's a nice park.
It's a nice park with an ocean view, called Cemetery Park. So, so that property. So you take your 500,000, you 1031 exchange. Okay, 1031 exchange. Let's talk about this for people. Some of you may know, some of you may not. You have to take the full proceeds from the property. So every penny you would make out of that property, yes, he had paid down his loan, and yes, he had only purchased it originally with like 3.5% down or something. So it was like, let's just say he had 50 grand of his own money into it. He cannot take any money out of that, even though he had paid down the loan. He would be taxed on it. Okay. So the way you have to do it is if you sell a property, you have to take the full gain, the full amount of money, proceeds, not gain, but the full proceeds, and it goes into a 1031 exchange accommodator. Then they transfer it into your new escrow. Okay. So that's how that works. You cannot take one penny out of it, or if you do, you'll be taxed on that penny because the government says, you say that that's the money you put in there. I say that's your gain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it works that way. Okay. So you put the full money in there, and if he had just kept it a duplex, okay, his monthly cash flow was going to be $900 a month.
A month.
Just keeping it the way it is. Okay. His 5-year cash flow. So in 5 years, his cash flow, just keeping it the 2 units, was going to be $2,600 a month.
So keeping it the 2 units, cash flow is going to be
$2,600, and that's if he had hired a management company paying them 5%.
And most people will.
Not for that many units.
You'll do it
so
yourself.
If you're going to self-manage it, he would be at almost $3,100 a month. Okay. So your average annual return, if he had sold it in 5 years from purchasing it, and just the duplex, he was going to make 22%.
Wow.
For a 5-year average annual return. Okay. That's pretty darn good. So let's say now he added the ADU because we were doing ADUs when he purchased this. So you went and met with him.
With Salvador
And walked through the property and showed him, okay, you've got two car garages, 400 square foot roughly each. I think they're actually a little bigger, that property. But so he bought it for 1.15, right? And then it was going to be $250,000 roughly to convert those garages. I don't know what
he did it for under 2.
He did it for under 200,000. Yeah. Okay, well, I estimated when I was telling him to buy it at 250,000.
Yep.
So now, when that third unit comes online, which I believe is coming online, his monthly cash flow. Okay, so mind you, single family home, making $100 a month. Duplex, $900 a month. Adding that third unit, $2,050 a month in cash flow. Right away. How are you going to do that on single family home? Only way you do that on single family home, you add an ADU.
Yep.
But then again, you are making it a multi-unit property.
Right.
Which
you're
is
still doing the same thing we're talking about.
Yes, which is what makes sense.
Yeah.
So his 5-year cash flow, adding that ADU, having this be a triplex, $6,300 a month. I mean, he had $500,000 sitting in equity in a property. And how many people do we know? They saved their first home they bought. First condo, first home. They rented out for minimal, right? But they're like, hey, but I've got this other property and I'm making like a couple grand, but you've got $400,000 of equity just sitting there. So you're making $2,000, but like really, if you look at it for what your return is, that's nothing.
Yeah.
If you took that sold it, and then you went and bought a multi-unit and did the same scenario, instead of you making $2,000, you're going to make 65, or you're going to make $2,000 a month, and then you're going to end up making 6,300 a month. You're not going to go up that high on one unit in 5 years.
No.
There's no way.
No way.
Yeah. So then if he sold that in 5 years, that property that he turned into a triplex, it's a 49% average annual return.
What would it sell for? Do you have that or no?
No, because I'm not on my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe I do. No, I don't. Not on my spreadsheet. This is why paper sucks and Excel wins every time. But yeah, so basically this is what I go to, is that it's all about mitigating your risk when you're investing in real estate. Okay. The more units you have, the less likely you are going to be pulling money from your own pockets. And adding ADUs is key. I mean, the fact that you can do this in California right now, which is one of the highest rents in the country, and then be able to provide, and these ADUs too are helping the affordability issue, because the more smaller units we have, because a builder who's building a brand new building does not want to build small units, because they're actually a higher cost per square foot.
Yeah.
So when you're building a brand new building, you're like, I don't want to build a 1-bedroom and make it, 600 square feet. I want to build, 1,200 square feet and make it, a 2-bedroom. So these ADUs and being able to build these smaller units help out seniors who want to still live in the community that they raise their kids in and their doctors are at, right? And they need somewhere to live. Young professionals moving in the area that maybe they don't want to live, in an apartment, or they can't find one. And then also it provides for that single family homeowner cash flow.
Yeah. How does someone, so let's talk a little bit about the financing and that structure.
Okay. So if you're buying under 4 units and under, it's still considered residential financing. So you can technically, if you were going to purchase, which we had another client do, and move in as your primary, you technically could purchase with as little as 3.5% down. You could do an FHA loan, technically. So as it depends on the purchase price. If you have a VA loan, say you're a veteran, I mean, you can purchase with 0 down and buy a multi-unit. So these are the things. But say you're just a normal person, right? And you're like, I'm not going to move into it. Well, if you're buying 4 units and below, you can purchase with as little as 20% down on an investment property. Now, if you're going to purchase 5 units and up, it's 25% down at minimum.
Let's go back to the example of someone has because I think a lot of people are in this situation where they have a single family home as a rental and they have $500,000 of, I call it dead equity, or not, I didn't make that up, but that's dead equity, just sitting there doing nothing. And they take that and they 1031 exchange into it. How do they come up with the financing for, because they're going to buy the duplex and then they're going to add the ADU. You need $200,000.
So, okay. So actually another thing I forgot to mention, when you're purchasing, because someone might be like, well, I can't qualify for 2 mortgage payments.
Yeah.
When you're purchasing an investment property, you get to use 75% of the projected rent that the appraiser would say, oh, these units would rent for this, to qualify. Or if you have actual tenants in there, you get to use 75% of that actual rent that's coming in there to qualify. So let's say you take your dead equity, go back to your scenario, right? You're selling that single family home and you're going to buy the duplex and you're going to add the 3rd unit. So you do the 1031 exchange, you move the 500,000 over into the duplex, you get your loan on that. That duplex that he purchased was vacant. So the minute that you rent out those units, you collect rents for a few months, you're in the process anyways of getting your permits for your ADU, so you can't even do construction yet. And your permits, like to start all that and your architecture, what, 15 grand?
Yeah.
Let's say.
That's fair.
Should be roughly around there. So you're going to have to put out $15,000.
Yeah.
So you're collecting rents, what have you. You're waiting for your permits to get even approved. So you wait 6 months. You refinance because now you can access that 500,000 you put in there. And because you bought at 1.2, your loan, is not at 20% at all, because that would have been $240,000, right? So you've got this $260,000 sitting in there that a lender will be like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can take cash out. Take that $260,000, which we're saying you don't even need that much, but you could take up to, right? And then you can take those funds, build your ADU, rent out your ADU, collect the cash flow. Say, if you do 6 months, lenders will love you. You won't have any issues. If you want to do it sooner than that, then that's where you might get a little bit of a higher interest rate.
Yeah.
But generally, 6 months, they're like, yeah, no problem. Your rents are seasoned. You're definitely collecting this amount of rent. So then your property is worth way more than 1.2 now because you have a third unit.
Right.
So then you can go refinance again, take out however much cash you want to take out. You could potentially even take out at that point your full 500,000 that you invested.
Yeah. And for our listeners, when you pull out money in a refinance, that is a non-taxable
tax-free
event.
Yep.
So you go, you put the money in, you rent out the units, 6 months, you get the permits, you pull out the 200 grand, you build the ADU, and then you get it permitted and you start renting it. Now you have a triplex. Now we go to year 5 and they want to keep the unit, but you know what? They're like, that wasn't that bad, but I want to buy another one.
Rinse and repeat, baby, all over again.
I want to buy another one.
Yep. So then you do a cash out refi.
Non-taxable event again.
Yep. And you take out the cash. I mean, it'll depend on your rents and it'll depend on what other things are selling at that time and interest rates, right? But if interest rates are lower, then you'll be able to take out even more funds. And then you can take that money, put it into the new property, and you don't have to do a 1031 exchange. You have as much time as you possibly want to find the right property. And then you do the same thing, remodel, add an ADU, get your rents up.
Yeah. So that's how people scale. And that's how you go from 3 units to 6 units to 10 units. And then all of a sudden you have 20 units and you're happy. Your retirement versus your single family. Yes, you paid it off and now you're getting $5,000 a month, but that took 15 years.
Well, you're not paying that off. I mean, you're buying something at 1.2. You're not. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take 30 years. So, I mean, I wish when we were younger and we were like so obsessed with buying our first home, and then we did, that instead we would have been educated to have bought a multi-unit. We should have even lived in one of the units.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these are the things that I feel like our society tells us, go to college, which I do agree with, but you get a lot of debt from that. And then, go buy a house. It's like, well, no, why not go buy a multi-unit and live in one of the units, or buy a multi-unit in a place that you don't want to live, but then rent over here and create your wealth and cash flow over there. Like, there's just so many ways to make money.
I mean, one sentence, multifamily wins. But the thing is I think a lot of people are scared to take that leap. So what do you think the mindset shift needs to be for a beginning investor?
I mean, if you can learn to underwrite your own deals, which underwriting a couple units is really not that difficult. And there are some great spreadsheets out there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bigger Pockets on their website, they even have like a calculator. I mean, I have a very simple spreadsheet if anyone reached out to me that I can easily send to them and then they could be underwriting their own deals. But if you don't have that, or say numbers isn't your thing, right? And you're just like, I don't want to do that. Well, there's always real estate agents in your area. even the big commercial guys. We had Nick Henry on here. I mean, he sells multi-units that are duplexes, triplexes, and these guys all know how to underwrite it.
They do.
And so you don't have to underwrite it. It's just about finding. So really what I would do if you don't want to learn to underwrite on your own, I would go and I would look at on Zillow or on realtor.com and I would pull the multi-units. And then I would look at the agents who are listing them and I would contact the agents who have multiple listings of them. Not the one residential agent who somehow got it and doesn't even know how to underwrite.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to pick the agent who has multiple listings and has multiple of those. They will know how to underwrite the deal. And if you're buying in California, they will most likely know the ADU process.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to refer you to someone. Or you can always reach out to us. And if you're, Southern California, Salvador is amazing. And he would gladly look at any property, and he does all the time for us, for clients.
Yeah. I think I'm really glad we did this episode because this is where the opportunity is right now, right? I mean, it doesn't matter your experience level, this or that. If you can find someone or, Tony Robbins always says it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness.
Well, and if you're already managing, especially the people who kept their first home.
Yeah.
You're already managing that. You're already a landlord. Why not do it to set yourself up and your family to have even greater cash flow and wealth later on?
Yeah.
Why just hold on to this one property?
Yeah.
I can't let it go.
Yeah.
I am still making this and it's easy and what have you. It's okay, it will be easy, I promise, when you buy 3 units.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, look, when we bought our first 7 unit, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so scary. What are we doing? Are we doing the right thing? But my, the motivation of not paying that, doing the cost segregation, that's the other thing. Then you could do a cost segregation when you purchase that new building. And then you have those losses so that once you start that cash flow, say you're W-2 employee, right? You can't use the negative K1 in the beginning. But as you start that cash flow, well, that loss sits on your tax return and then will just start being depleted as your cash flow starts. So right there, you're able to create non-taxable income for you and your family.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's obviously you and I see it. And I have friends out there who own, and especially my firefighter buddies, they own, they have a rental or 2. And I've tried to, coach them or show them the way. And it's just taking that leap of faith.
Well, their security mindset, right? So security is very important to them. But the reality is what they're doing is riskier because you have one tenant who can literally make your life hell.
Yeah.
They can try. So let's just say, my expenses aren't that much because I paid off my unit. Okay. So maybe your expenses, you still have insurance. You're still going to have property taxes. If you're a condo, you still have HOA fees. And then what if that tenant trashes your unit?
Yep.
I mean, we remodel units all day long. The cheapest you're going to remodel, 20, 30,000.
Yep.
So you just lost all of that plus all of your holding costs and that one unit. That's why it's so important if you are security mindset to actually put yourself in a position where you are mitigating that risk.
Yeah. No, it's so true. So true. So I didn't even go over these with you. So hopefully you're ready for your final 5.
Hopefully. Let's see.
What's the biggest myth about multifamily?
I think, when I was in commercial back a long time ago, and Ryan Cassidy, which hopefully we'll have him on this podcast.
Yes, we
but
will.
He used to say to me, Marissa, it's the same amount of work, no matter how many zeros. And that is so true. So it's if you go to buy a single family home versus you buy a 4-unit, it's really going to be the same amount of work because your tenants, most of them are going to be perfectly content and you might have some issues.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're still in the same thing on your single family. People are like, oh, I'm not going to raise the rent because I don't want to disturb my tenants and I don't want to have to get new tenants. Okay, awesome. So you're just like providing them and not really providing for your household because you're not increasing. And let me tell you, when you go to have to do your roof or have to do any plumbing issues, none of those contractors are going to show up and be like, you know what, I'm going to give you a discount because you didn't raise this guy's rent for
Nope.
10 years. And I respect that.
Yeah.
No. So your cost is just going to be that much more expensive.
Yeah.
So I really think it is the biggest myth is that I am safe and stable and secure with buying single family versus pushing myself out of my comfort zone and buying multi-units.
What's one resource every investor should study?
I mean, I personally am a numbers person, and I feel like if you don't understand your own finances for your property and you are not maintaining them separately so that you can truly see what you are making, they need to be separate from your personal finances. You need to have a separate bank account. You need to have a separate, credit card if you're going to be purchasing things, because that's the only way you can truly look and measure how that asset is performing. And so that's a big thing for me is knowing your numbers.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. Biggest risk beginners overlook.
I think that it's important to understand financing before you go to purchase.
Very true.
So,
Yeah.
we purchased our first 7-unit and we went to Chase Bank and we were
Yes.
like, oh, we're getting this loan. And then they go out there and they do an appraisal and they're like, you are buying a building that is not up to our standards, to say it
Yeah.
nicely, but basically was a slumlord property that nobody
Yeah.
had done anything on the whole, 20 years he owned it and wouldn't do our financing. And we
Yeah.
had to scramble. And I remember thinking, thank God it was just me, you, and Chad on that deal and not having a bunch of people because we had to scramble, get hard money loans. Like we really, so I really think that it's important to find a real estate agent who works with investors and to understand the different types of financing. Because if you want to buy a value add property, you most likely are going to need to get a bridge loan or hard money loan. And you can't just go and get your regular conventional financing.
True. Good advice. If you had to start over with $50,000, which isn't a whole lot.
Yeah. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing with 50 grand?
Yeah. What's your first move?
As an investor,
Yes.
get more money. Well, okay. If I only had 50 grand, I would hire a mentor.
I love it. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Because I have had so many different coaches throughout my business career.
Yep.
I had it in residential. I've had it, from doing Mike Ferry for 7 years and teaching me to door knock and cold call and deal with all the rejection of that, to Tony Robbins, which was more of a whole life approach, to Vinny Chopra, who showed us how to do the syndications. I really think it's so important to find someone to role model after because they truly will turn decades into days.
Yeah. Beautiful. Last one. What does ladders and leverage mean to you?
The title or the whole podcast?
Wherever you want to go. I would say the podcast.
Really, I think that the biggest benefit or the reason why I love to do the podcast, I will say, ladders and leverage and like what it means to me is that there's so many times I'm having conversations with people and I am not the best about making my own videos and putting it out there and sharing this type of information.
Mm-hmm.
And so the podcast to me is taking, like, people will be like, how are you doing this? How are you buying these buildings? How did you just, scale and have $60 million in real estate in less than 4 years? And it's like, well, this podcast allows us to show you what we've been doing behind the scenes when, we don't see you on the soccer fields or we don't see you at the cocktail party. Like, this is what we've been doing in our day to day. And so I have always been of an abundant mindset. I have trained, I don't know how many real estate agents, because I believe that sharing your information is the most powerful thing you can do. And that, most people, you can share all of your secrets, all of your trade secrets, and most people aren't even going to go out and do it.
Yep.
Okay. But the ones who would, I'm happy for them. I mean, I am genuinely happy that they are able to take what I have shared with them and create success and wealth for their families. And I think that that is something that sometimes in this world of real estate, people try to withhold and think, oh, if I tell you, then, I'm not going to get that next listing, or I might not get that next property. No. The more you share, the more you get, the more you look at the world in abundance, the more you will receive.
Yep.
So
excellent.
That's what Ladders and Leverage is for me, is sharing what we've been doing with all of our friends and family and new viewers or what have you. So that's what it's about.
Super fun.
Yeah.
That was a very fun episode. Thanks for joining me, or vice versa.
You're welcome, sir. Anytime.
And I love I mean, that was at the end, especially, it's raw, real. You didn't know those questions were coming. So that was really cool, from the heart.
I've been told that I'm pretty good at shooting from the hip.
You are. I would say I'm the planner. You can just go.
Yep. The gift of gab.
Yeah.
I definitely have it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely has a gift of gab. Anyways, everybody, thank you for joining the show today.
You.
We appreciate all of you, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Ladders and Leverage.
Thank you.